Welcome back to my next video on WWF LJN Customs. It has been requested that I show you exactly how I do the limb replacements. And so I have one figure, three of them that I'm going to show you today. And it's pretty easy process. It doesn't take a lot of time to do. You'll have to work on the precision and such on your own. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to try my best to kind of do them as I go and just show you the different techniques. So bear with me. I'm going to try and film this here as I do it. Make sure this thing's still going. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to straighten this up a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to do an easier one, I suppose. And that I have an iron sheik, and I want to look and see if this is the right one I want to use. I've got two. He's got cancer in his arm. You see the mold, as they call it, not to belittle cancer. But he's got a little bit of mold on his arm, so let's just use this one. I'm going to make him into an animal. For Hawk and Animal, I've done that already. And then I'm going to use a Hillbilly Jim. This Hillbilly Jim is going to be torn apart. I'm going to take his head, I'm going to take his arm, I'm going to take his legs. So poor Hillbilly is going to see finer days. It's okay, he's a beater, and he's going to find a second life here. So the first thing that I'm going to do, and again, I apologize about the camera or anything, I'm going to try to show you how to do this, is I'm going to take his arm off. There's not a real difficult way to do this or easy way. I guess the easiest way is just take an X-Acto knife. I should show you that first. Sorry, I'm not used to having this camera in front of me. There's the X-Acto knife. Good sharp one works. Can't guarantee that this is super sharp because I've been using it for a while. Hillbilly has a, let's see, he's got a thicker torso to him and a big fat head, so it takes a while to get through those. But this one's fairly easy. You just got to watch yourself and don't cut your own arm off, because I kind of did that in a previous video, and it didn't stop bleeding for a while. All right, so there's step one. Comes off pretty easy. I'm going to do his waist too. I'm going to also use him on a figure to make, Brooklyn Brawler. And someone said, I think it's Brooklyn Brawler. Yeah, and his waist. So I have not cut a waist completely through. So we're going to see how well this works. And you may want to just fast forward through this, especially if you don't want to hear me grunting because I'm fat and old. All right, just kind of let the X-Acto knife do its magic. It's already gotten a lot of the way through. So spin it around. I'm not sure exactly what portion of his waist I'm going to have to use. I'm going to have to scale it up to Don Morocco. That's the body I'm going to use. And I'm going to use the head of, whose head? Head of, Brutus Beefcake, I think. Actually, I've got a couple beefcakes I'm going to chop up. I'm going to make a Rick Steiner and Mike Rotundo figure for somebody else. So you can see there, I can almost break it. Sorry, I'm not that strong. Should almost get it here. But again, you can see it's relatively easy. It really doesn't take that much. Sorry, twisting it off camera. There we go. Kind of like the inside of a baseball, I guess. Always a mystery, and then you look at it and you're like, wow, that's all it is. Just a big bunch of plastic. So, poor Hillbilly. He has met his match. So, my idea, what I'm going to do, give me a second. I got a Morocco floating around here somewhere. I'll actually tag these guys. I used the wrong Hillbilly. I should use another one. All right, so here's Don Morocco. I'm going to chop his waist off, and I'm going to attach it to that. And then Bad Brutus is going to lose his head here. So I might as well just chop his head right now. When I cut the head, I cut as far down as I can. to get his neck, in case I do need the neck, kind of stab down, get some space in, stab down, get some space in, kind of turn it around. Want to make sure you've got enough distance to get his hair. Clearly I missed a little bit of it, but that's okay. I can make that up with the milliput. So I'm going to try and get back in there again on the right track. Sorry, Brutus. Now, I'm going to use his rest of his body parts for different things. So he's not going to go to waste. And you can see he's kind of got that yellow inside. I don't know if that's that mold that others have. It's kind of gross, but there it is. All right, so I've got a head. I've got the torsos. Let's put that in there. How's that look? Kind of strange, but okay. So now that that's done, what I'll do is I know I'm going to need to take off his arm, and it's going to be this. Let me think of how he was. I think it's this arm. That's the correct one, because I'm going to run his arm like this, so that he's holding his tag belt. Sorry, his camera can only go so far. All right, so what I'll do, again, I can always recut it, not a problem. Trying to think of where it was. I need to make sure I have enough room on the arm. So I'm gonna cut it right at the bicep. And I'm sure it goes further back onto his shoulder, but that's okay. All right, so almost there. What you can always do is heat up your knife if you want to. And even after I've given these guys figure baths, sorry, I'm going to twist cheek off again. Oh, there he is. When I've given them figure baths, they've get warmed up, and then the plastic's not so tough. I wish I had a taller stand here. Let's see if I can angle this up. All right, there you go. There's Sheik's arm. So what I'm going to do is, part of the problem is that Hillbilly has a big fat arm. And so I may have to take this all the way to his shoulder. And then that way this is a little bit higher, and then I'll drape the arm up. Now do note it's two different colors. So clearly I'm going to have to, at some point, put a new skin tone on, but that's okay. So I'll go ahead and do that. Not the skin tone, take it off at the shoulder. Tighten my blade a little bit. Probably about time for a new blade. I tell you, X-Acto knives are great for this, for trimming parts off that you don't really need. Okay, so that's a little better. You can see it's still somewhat uneven, but you get the gist as to where his arm needs to go. And then what you're going to have to do to manipulate it. I'll probably have to, I'll do it now, shave off Hillbilly's arm again. That's just top part is way too thick. So let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to even it up, and I'm going to show you how we're going to put them together. All right, so step 2 of this, now that we've got the miscellaneous body parts laying all over, what I've done is I've trimmed up Iron Sheik so that the arm matches this pretty well. I want it about here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to drape a tag belt over top of the shoulder. So in case there's an issue with my seam, that's going to be covered, but also looked really cool on the first one that I did. And now again, all you got to do is look at the Road Warrior 1 for that. So make sure this is as clean as possible. I mean, I'm not perfect with it because the milliput, or the epoxy, which I use, but I do have some milliput over here too, really evens things out. So the next step is I'm going to take, this is a 3 finish, because somebody asked me about that. It's a 3 finish nail. It's a very thin one that you use for like wood trim and stuff. And then I've got a pretty heavy duty, I think this was my dad's, wire cutter, and it actually cuts my nails, not my fingernails, but my nails like these. So I stick it in here, and I use my muscles to knock it out. And I usually do it in a cup because stuff goes flying, just like there. And so now the head of it has been taken off. So the way this will work for me is I'm going to grab my cordless drill, and I'm going to grab my drill bit. I'm not sure what size it is. I just match it up end to end. You want it as even as the nail is. But at the same time, if it's a little bit bigger, it doesn't matter because you can fill that hole with the milliput. Okay. So what I'll do, I take his arm and I go just about the center. I drill a little bit in. It doesn't matter if you go too far because, again, you'll cover a lot up, and he's got a big fat arm, so a lot of it's all cleared up. But the idea is that you've got a big enough hole because this nail is now going to go into it. And do whatever method you want. If you drill it right, it'll go right in. And I don't typically use a hammer on it. It doesn't need it. Sometimes it does, though. And I'll do the same thing with Sheiky Baby. I'm going to find the center. And you can drill in as far as you want on that one. I'll drill again just to clean it up. Okay, so now the fun part. First thing I'll do is I'll do it around his arm. I'll put some internal milliput on. Again, you can use the epoxy. Milliput is just a general term for me because a lot of the customizers use different things. They mostly use milliput, but I just use whatever's cheapest. I don't mean that because some of it's really crappy. So I'm going to attach it. I got a huge gap up here, so I'm going to re-drill it. I don't like where it went. It looks like it's a little bit low and off-centered, so let's go a little bit higher. See if that solves the problem. I don't know if I just re-drilled the hole or not. Put my epoxy back on. I'm going to be lazier this time, so I'm just going to whoosh on. And then use some muscle and just push it in. So now you've got a little bit of a gap problem, which is okay, because you can always take part of it out and trim it back up to your heart's delight, or the easier method, once you push this in, is you take some of this milliput. It's a gap filler. Push it in. And then you can always trim that up. So there's the chic. I'm not going to bore you with the other effects. You can see it needs to be trimmed up top here. Try and get it balanced out. On the back side, oh, we need to get some milliput on here. So we'll just do that. So there's chic. If you really want to see some more, I'll show you what I do with Morocco and the other guys here in just a little bit. All right, so here's the Brooklyn Brawler that I did. Did the same method. I cut off the hat of Corporal Kirshner over here. It's now looking like Hannibal Lecter got to him. There's the head of Brutai. The chest of Don Morocco. And then the lower part of the trunk, I guess, of Hillbilly Jim. So I'm pretty happy. I can't wait for this to dry out. I'll sand it down, then I'll paint it, and there will be Brooklyn Brawler. I'll show you one more. I'm going to do a couple cuts here on some fellas. I'm going to try to do an arm surgery here. Take off that hand. He's flipping us off. Replace it, and then going to turn him into Rick Steiner, and then these two combined are going to be Mike Rotundo. So we'll see how that goes. Here's the next one. I'm going to take grumpy old Anvil. I already took his arms off. I'm going to add Brutus Beefcakes. And they should look pretty good when I'm all done with them. And here's how easy the hand replacement is. Did the same thing, stuck a nail in, did it into his forearm on both sides, and then drilled the holes, and then put a little bit of the milliput in, and then there you go. Those are both Brutus's hands, and tell me they don't look well, or that they don't belong with him. You can't tell, can you? So, not a bad job. Poor Brutus is over here, though. He's given much of his life for this one, and hopefully Rick Steiner turns out. If not, well, you know, at least the anvil's got fingers that work now. So we'll just keep progressing with them. Here's the final shot that I'm going to show you for this video. I'm not going to show you these finished figures because it's going to take me a long time to do. But instead I want to show you just what exactly I did one more time. So there's the soon-to-be Brooklyn Brawler with the cap of Corporal Kirchner, the head of Brutus, the torso, he's not a bull, of Don Morocco, and the legs of Hillbilly Jim. So 3 characters together. There you go. Just a little bit of sanding to do, and some fine-tuning with some paint. And everything's really solid. So again, there's why I use the nails to kind of keep it in place, and then to use the milliput or whatever. Here is the next figure. This is going to be Rick Martel. No, not Rick Martel. Mike Rotundo. And so what I did with his is I did some of the hair, and I'll go back over it again. With that, as well as adding the head and then one of the hands. I think I'm going to have a bigger Bruiser Brody. I'm going to do him. I have one that's a little hunchy, but that's the head of Hillbilly on Don Morocco. There's the arm of Hillbilly for an animal. And then over here, one more time, is going to be Rick Steiner. So 2-hand surgery on there, and there you go. Hopefully you guys learn from this. If you have any other questions about it, just message me on YouTube, or if you have any suggestions for other videos, just let me know. Thanks a lot.